Antonio's hand slammed against the stall door, caging me in with the weight of his body. His other hand locked tight on my waist, fingers digging just enough for me to feel the claim in his touch. I could smell his cologne, clean, sharp, threaded with smoke and leather, and it made my chest rise too fast, too shallow. His hazel eyes burned into mine, flecked gold beneath the dim copper bathroom light. I couldn't move. I didn't want to. You think I didn't notice you staring back at the gate? His voice was low, velvet with danger. My lips parted, but the words stuck. My pulse throbbed in my ears, louder than the faint echo of footsteps outside the bathroom door. The world shrank until it was only him and me. Antonio, 24, jet black hair messy from travel, olive skin warm even under the sterile glow, beard framing his sharp jaw. My body leaned into his like it had been waiting all night for this. I was 20, trembling, pinned against cold tile, his fingers refusing to let me go. And then, just like that, the story rewound where it began. Airports had always made me restless. Too many lights, too many voices, too many arrivals and departures blurring into one. I had been killing time at gate 47, slouched in a navy hoodie, my band tee peeking out, joggers cuffed at the ankle, sneakers tapping nervously against the polished floor. My backpack sat on the chair beside me, my silver watch ticking louder in my head than the announcements echoing across the terminal. That's when I saw him. Antonio. He was impossible not to notice. Tall, broad shoulders filling out a black bomber jacket, fitted white t-shirt clinging just right, slim charcoal jeans, travel scuff leather boots. His duffel bag swung casually over one arm, but it wasn't his walk that hooked me. It was the way he looked around. Steady, calm, as if the entire chaos of the terminal bent around with gravity. And then his eyes found mine. Deep hazel, flecked with gold. Piercing, even from across the lounge. I froze. 20 years old, clean-shaven, gray-blue eyes that never knew how to hold a stare. Yet with him, I couldn't look away. My chest flushed hot, my fingers twitching at my backpack strap. He tilted his head slightly, as if he'd caught me mid-thought, and a faint smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. I looked away first, but not for long. 15 minutes later, the boarding call for another flight spilled to the speakers, and the crowd surged past me. I stood, stretching, and nearly collided with him. Antonio, up close. He was even more magnetic. Jet black hair tousled from travel, his scent. Something earthy citrus, lingering smoke, sank into me before he even spoke. Our shoulders brushed, and I muttered, sorry. But instead of stepping back, his hand brushed mine. On purpose. A jolt shot through me. My lips parted. He didn't apologize. Didn't smile. Just looked down at me, slow and deliberate, as if testing how long I could survive his gaze. You're not on this flight, he said simply. My breath stuttered. And no. He nodded once, his eyes flicking to my watch, my hoodie, my lips. Then, without another word, he moved past me. My heart hammered against my ribs as I turned, watching him stride toward the far end of the terminal. And then he glanced back. A subtle tilt of the head. A silent question. I didn't think. I just followed. The hallway narrowed. Fewer travelers. The hum of voices dimming behind us. My sneakers squeaked faintly against the polished floor as he led me down a quieter wing, toward the private first-class lounge bathrooms. My chest tightened. Every step was a choice, and every step I couldn't stop myself from making. He didn't look back again. He didn't need to. Antonio pushed open the door to the lounge bathroom. Sleek copper gold fixtures, black stall doors lined neatly. The faint scent of bergamot in the air. Muzak played softly from overhead, absurd against the roar in my veins. The door swung shut behind me with a muted click. It was only then he turned. Antonio dropped his duffel against the wall, his bomber jacket shifting as he stepped closer. My back brushed the cool porcelain of the sink. His gaze dragged over me, from the ash-brown curls falling into my eyes to my sneakers planted uncertainly on the polished floor. You followed me, he said, voice low, unreadable. I swallowed hard. You wanted me to. His mouth curved, not into a smile but something sharper. Approval. One step closer, and the heat of his body flooded into me. His hand lifted. Fingers grazing the hem of my hoodie before sliding firmly onto my waist. My breath hitched. "You don't know what you've walked into," he murmured, leaning down just enough that his lips brushed the shell of my ear. My fingers clutched the edge of the sink. "Then tell me." His eyes burned into mine. For a heartbeat, silence thickened the air. Then his hand tightened, pulling me flush against him. The world outside, the flights, the announcements, the voices, ceased to exist. The stall door clicked shut behind us. The black stall door clicked shut with Antonio's hand pressed flat against it, the other still locked on my waist. The air shrank between us, tighter, warmer, humming with everything I hadn't dared to imagine back at gate 47. The bathroom was quiet, only the faint muzak through the ceiling speakers, and somewhere outside, the echo of rolling luggage. But in here, it was just breath. His, mine, tangled and uneven. Antonio leaned in. Jet black hair fell slightly forward, brushing my forehead as he looked down at me. His hazel gold eyes burned like they'd swallowed the copper lighting hole. "You're nervous," he said, not as a question but as fact. I swallowed, hard. "I've never not like this. Not." His thumb brushed against my hoodie, catching the hem before sliding it just an inch higher, enough for his knuckles to graze bare skin. My lungs stuttered. "You think too much," Antonio murmured, his voice velvet dark. "Just feel." I didn't realize how close we drifted until my lips parted in instinct, searching. His gaze flicked down to my mouth, then back to my eyes. A silent promise. And then, finally, he kissed me. It wasn't slow. It wasn't careful. It was hungry, the kind of kiss that stole the ground out from under me. His hand tightened on my waist, pulling me hard against the solid press of his chest. My hoodie bunched under his grip as his mouth claimed mine with desperate certainty. I gasped, and he swallowed it whole, deepening the kiss, tilted my chin so I couldn't pull away. I didn't want to. My fingers flew to his jacket, gripping the leather like it was the only thing tethering me to earth. Antonio tasted like smoke and citrus, sharp and endless. My knees nearly buckled, and he caught me with ease, his body a wall, his mouth relentless. When he finally pulled back, just an inch, I was trembling. "Breathless already?" he teased, voice ragged. I managed a laugh, shaky and soft. You don't play fair." He smirked, thumb brushing my jaw. "Neither do you." You stared back. The words caught me off guard. "What?" Antonio leaned his forehead to mine, his breath hot, steady. "At the gate. You looked at me like you wanted to know everything, and you didn't look away soon enough." I flushed, my gray-blue eyes searching his. "And that's why I couldn't ignore it," he cut in, voice low. "You were there, 20 years old, clean-shaven, hoodie too big for you, and I couldn't stop watching you. So when you followed me," his hand squeezed my waist again, "I knew you wanted this too." I shivered, not from cold but from the weight of his words. I didn't answer with my mouth. Instead, I surged up and kissed him again, this time with everything I'd been holding back. The stall was too small for how much I needed him closer. My back pressed against the sleek black door, his chest flushed to mine, and still it wasn't enough. Our mouths clashed. Open, hungry, messy in the way desperation always is. Antonio's hand slid from my waist to my back, fingers curling at the base of my neck, holding me right where he wanted me. My pulse pounded against his palm. His other hand tugged lightly at my hoodie, teasing but never fully lifting it. My fingers tangled in his hair, thick, jet black, softer than it looked. I tugged once, testing. He groaned into my mouth, low and dangerous, and my knees weakened all over again. "You're shaking," he whispered against my lips. "You make me," I admitted, voice breaking. Something flickered in his eyes then. Heat, yes, but also softness. A rare, unguarded light. He kissed me slower this time, lips lingering, almost reverent. For a moment, the kiss broke, and silence expanded between us again. His thumb traced circles into my side, grounding me. I looked up, my chest still heaving. "Why me?" I whispered. "You could've," anyone. Why me? Antonio's jaw clenched. He studied me like he was memorizing the shape of my face, the tremble in my lips. Because you looked at me like I wasn't just another passenger, he said finally. Like I wasn't just passing through. His voice softened, almost a secret. No one does that anymore. My heart thudded painfully. I reached for his hand, sliding my fingers between his. You're not just passing through. Not to me. For a while, neither of us spoke. We kissed again, slower, deliberate, as though time itself had been around us. His stubble rasped against my skin. His chain brushed my collarbone, and my body molded as like it had always been meant to. And then, to the bathroom wall, the muffled voice of the intercom. Final boarding call for Flight 728 to Madrid, Gate 47. My heart stopped. Gate 47. His flight. Antonio's forehead pressed to mine, his breath shaky now. His hazel eyes softened, flecks of gold catching the low light. That's me, he whispered. I tightened my grip on his jacket. Don't go. His smile was sad, fleeting but certain. I have to. The world outside grew louder, footsteps echoing, but neither of us moved. Instead, Antonio leaned in and kissed me one last time. It was different now, not hungry, not rushed. Slow, lingering, like a promise he couldn't put into words. When he pulled back, his thumb brushed my lip, then dropped. He grabbed his duffel, slung it over his shoulder, and looked at me like he wanted to burn the moment into memory. Next time, he said simply, and then he was gone. Stall door clicking open, leather boots carrying him back to the world of departures and destinations. I stood there, 20 years old, gray blue eyes wide, hoodie still bunched at my waist where his hand had been, breathless, shaking, already waiting for the next time.